Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Okay. Hey guys, a powerful Germany militarily would be the difference between NATO being a pretty strong European area with the USA to NATO essentially not even needing the USA nearly as much. That's the potential that I think Germany has as a military power, and it seems like the what Russia's been doing is kind of jostling them awake. So, yeah, I'm American. Hi guys, but I don't think that Europe should have to rely on American power, and with America, our president acting a bit insane when it comes to stuff like Greenland and whatnot. Clearly, if you're European, you don't really want to have to rely on the USA's military capabilities, right? And I think Germany becoming a serious military power to the extent that they can be would be the complete game changer in that area. I'm no expert here, but those are my thoughts before watching. Let's go. Preemptive like, why Germany is rebuilding its military after Russia invaded Ukraine. Sky News.
Germany's military is aging and shrinking. With Russia attacking Ukraine, things need to change, and fast.
I don't think.
Like, imagine Germany and France and Italy and Finland and Poland and the UK all with, beefing up their military would be just unstoppable.
That we are.
And fast.
I don't think that we are in a war, but we are no longer living in peacetime.
I think we have to make peace and not war. It's so simple.
So how is Europe's biggest power getting itself ready for war?
Sweden as well packs a big punch for its size.
On the firing range today, an IT consultant, a mum, a guy in shipping. Civilians being trained to defend Germany in a crisis.
The situation in Europe has changed because of the war in Ukraine. So now where whole areas are changing and we need to get ready for maybe a war.
I need to shut up and listen. Sorry.
Crisis.
The situation in Europe has changed because of the war in Ukraine. So now where whole areas are changing and we need to get ready for maybe a war in the future, we need to fill up our reserves.
After Russia invaded Ukraine, Germany vowed to transform its military. That included boosting the numbers of troops and reservists like these. Here they're taught shooting and survival, readying the recruits to help support their country in times of war or natural disaster. Like many here, office worker David was inspired to apply for the Home Guard after war returned to Europe.
The invasion of Ukraine by Russia, I think that was definitely the motivating factor, because they're systematically trying to undermine the world order, crossing every red line that we have drawn up as a result of the experience in World War I, World War II, not executing prisoners, not torturing, not raping.
Putin's invasion of Ukraine shocked Germany into...
So Germany, you have the population, you have the economic power, and you have the military tradition, long military tradition, going back to the Prussians, of just being very militarily capable. I think Germany is just a waiting tiger. Does that make sense? The sky's the limit, I think, for the German military.
Reprioritizing defense. In 2022, as Russian troops rolled in, the German Chancellor announced a €100 billion fund to rearm and modernize the military. Since then, military chiefs have repeatedly warned Germany needs to be ready for war, and fast.
We have 5 to 8 years. And 5 to 8 years, when the reconstitution of the Russian forces is at a level that an attack against NATO territory might be possible. For me as a military, 5 to 8 years means I have to be ready in 5 years.
That 5-year timer is now ticking, and it's not just Germany's defences that are on the line.
If the war in Ukraine bubbled over and NATO's eastern flank was attacked, Germany has 2 important roles. Firstly, it would send troops to support NATO forces. Secondly, it's a crucial hub from which the main bulk of Allied forces would deploy through.
It's hard to overstate just how much of an impact the war in Ukraine has had on Germany. For the first time since the Cold War, they've drawn up a top-secret defence plan, the so-called Operation Deutschland, or O-Plan.
I've come to meet Lieutenant General Andre Bodeman, the man behind the plan.
You were one of the main minds in the O-Plan, the main thinkers of it.
Yeah, the architect, so to speak.
Yeah.
I'm really convinced that this plan will work. But you need a high motivation every day.
The 1,000-page classified document covers everything from moving German and NATO troops through the country, protecting critical infrastructure, and mobilizing civilians.
Since the Russian invasion into Ukraine, the completely situation changed with regard to our threats. So in the Cold War, we had 0 was peace and 1 was war, and now we are living in a time in between, in the hybrid phase, because we have a lot of hybrid threats even now, even today. That's fake news, disinformation, that's cyber attack, that's espionage, and that's sabotage.
Is there a sense that you're already at war?
I don't think that we are in a war, but we are no longer living in peace time, and we are in between.
Would you say this is the most dangerous period in terms of risk of war for Germany since the Cold War?
Yes, definitely.
Germany has been honing its battle readiness, using war games to test how...
I feel like that's a very easy yes. I mean, it's the first war on European soil since World War II, right? I guess maybe unless you count some of the stuff in the Balkans. Not sure about that, actually.
Soldiers been honing its battle readiness.
German Shepherds. You know German Shepherds in the Army and the police in the USA? The trainers still use, like, German commands for them, which I think is pretty cool.
Using war games to test how soldiers and civilians respond.
Bless you.
Are you confident that you have enough time to get the defences you need in place, or is Germany exposed?
We cannot lose time. We have to start now. We already started, and we have to speed up to be ready before Russia is ready.
So with Putin not pulling any punches, Germany has no time to lose. But there's a big problem.
After years of neglect, the military's ageing and shrinking, with the Armed Forces Commissioner warning it has too little of everything.
So how did we get here? After the Second World War, all of Germany's armed forces were disbanded. In 1949, Germany was officially divided into Communist East and Capitalist West.
During the Cold War, both sides grew their armed forces, bolstering their ranks with conscription.
But in 1990, Germany reunified and East German forces were dissolved. A new so-called Army of Unity was created with 370,000 personnel.
This is the first time in a generation there were no immediate threats on Germany's borders. So the government continued scaling down the military, spending more on social and economic issues.
By 2000, the army had cut 40% of its personnel. Spending fell to lows of 1.2% of Germany's GDP. That's well below NATO's 2% target.
And back then in 1990, now you had a much more reliable USA and a neutered Russia, or a dead Soviet Union and a neutered Russia. And so now you have an aggressive Russia again, and you can look across the Atlantic and see a more unpredictable USA. So that just seems like perfect reason to start scaling up your own military and securing military capability in Europe as a whole. If I'm saying anything just wrong, guys,
2024
obviously make sure to call me out.
is the first time Germany has hit NATO's 2% target since the 1990s. But the German military, or Bundeswehr, only has 179,000 soldiers in uniform. They say that isn't enough, and they want to boost that number to 203,000 by 2031.
Europe almost is at a point now where it has realized that it needs to look after its own affairs more than it has previously done, and can't just fall back on the deterrence value and the potential fighting power of the US. And without Germany pulling its own massive weight within that scenario where Europe is under attack, it wouldn't really work. You wouldn't have enough deterrence to stop Putin from attacking other countries in Eastern Europe.
Makes sense.
Fertig, go.
And that's where young people come in. This camp offers teenagers an insight into what it takes to be a soldier. With conscription currently off the table, the military's finding other ways to attract recruits. And 17-year-old Julian is ready to serve.
Why is it that you want to join the military?
There's a sense of patriotism, that's a big part of that, and also the love of my country, wanting to defend it.
But not everyone is as keen as these guys. With 20,000 soldiers to find in 6 years, the government has another plan. In an effort to drum up applications, every 18-year-old will be sent a survey to find out who's interested in joining up. If the law is rubber-stamped, men will have to respond, women won't.
Why do you think more young people aren't interested in joining at the moment?
Probably they think they come here and have to go to war, and yeah, that doesn't sound that great.
Do Germans not want to fight for the country? Do you think it's the history?
This could be a main reason, of course, because we all know the history of Germany.
Okay. So, of course, I know what happened in World War II, right, with Germany. But a giant mistake for humans, in my opinion, for humanity, is to only look for totalitarian, possibly genocidal tendencies. It would be a giant mistake, in my opinion, to only look for those things and focus them in countries that have already done it, you know? Because there isn't anything genetically in any population that makes it more prone to like fascist tendencies or genocide, whatever, totalitarian warmongering, right? And so in order to make yourself feel better, you're focusing in on a country that did it before and are going to let it happen behind your back. It's like if you have like 20 people, okay? This might sound, just let me try and get my point across. You have like 20 people, okay? And one person did a bad thing, right? And now you spend your entire time looking at that one person while the other 19 are behind your back doing maybe the same thing or looking like they're doing the same thing, but you're only looking at this guy because it's like, this guy did it before. Wow, that was a horrible voice crack. Before. That's the worst voice crack I've ever had. Before. These guys had already done it before. That was so bad. And so I'm not going to look at the other 19 people. And you're letting your self-righteousness get in the way of actually preventing atrocities. And so along with the fact that you're trying to curate a military population that has this irrational idea that they can't be soldiers because of what their ancestors did, is not only wrong and immoral in some ways, but dangerous, okay? Did I say that accurately? And my God, I'm only still talking about the voice crack because it was so bad. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that.
Main reason, of course, because we all know the history of Germany. Yeah, I think that could be a main reason that many people don't want to join the army.
Many Germans are inherently...
You're a German who wants to protect your country from Russians. That makes you a Nazi, because people who you never met 80 years ago did that, and they're part of your lineage. It's almost like a... Yeah, it's ridiculous. And Germany, by the way, same goes for Japan. And America has done horrible things too, okay? Britain has done horrible things. Italy has done horrible things. Russia has done horrible things. China has done horrible things. Japan has done... I am so tired of being surrounded by a lot of people who don't really know a lot about history, but know Germany, World War II bad, and therefore anything you do today, I'm going to have a giant opinion on it, despite knowing nothing about warfare and history. Oh, you're German, you're a warrior Nazi. Insane.
Many people don't want to join the army.
Many Germans are inherently wary of war and the military, and that comes down a lot of the time to the country's recent history.
The horrors of the Second World War. The shame of atrocities committed by the Nazis. The division of Germany and its remilitarization during the Cold War have all left their scars on the country.
Again, atrocities are committed by human beings. They can happen in America. They can happen in Rwanda. They can happen in Cambodia. They can happen in China, in the Soviet Union. Humans can resort to horrible, evil things. There isn't something genetically, things about German that are more prone to that. You are letting your emotions get in the way of actually protecting against invasion. That's my opinion. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here.
Some people have found it a bit surprising that Germany isn't at the forefront of the idea that Europe needs to now rearm and get ready to defend itself. But I think that's underestimating the long history of German aversion to all things military, really. I mean, Germany is the outlier when you look at it, because it was Germany that started the Second World War with all of the horrific crimes and everything that came with that.
Many Germans are still staunchly anti-war. Peace rallies are common. I've come to this one in Berlin to find out what people are worried about.
Why have you come to a peace rally? Because I stand for peace, and war is never a solution. People are dying, and in the end, we have to sit down and talk together.
I'm convinced that we must protest against the plans to make a big war. So I think there is a real danger that
Okay. This is my issue, okay? And I'm not someone who's going to fight. I mean, I guess if the USA is invaded, we'd be asked to fight or whatever. That's not likely, though. But there's a really unsettling feeling I get with people like this. And the unsettling feeling is because of the nagging question in my mind that's like, okay, but what if war comes to you? Do they not even think about that? I understand the human feeling or nature of not wanting death and destruction. I understand that, and it's great. But when that is your pitch for not increasing your war capabilities because you don't want to fight a war, is like giving up. And so I would love to ask them, okay, what if Russia attacks you? Will you go to war then? Will you just be like, no, then we'll live under the Russians? Like, and please, everyone, please, I say this a lot, but I mean it. If what I'm saying is wrong, in your opinion, call me out, okay? I am no expert. But my mind goes blank when I'm like, wait, but war might come to you whether you like it or not. Are you just going to be like, okay, well, they can take us over then? I don't really understand that, and it's a little worrying. It's ironically worrying that someone who doesn't want war is worrying to me, but it makes sense, I guess.
There will be a big war and maybe a third world war. We don't know. It's very dangerous, and we have to say no.
And by the way, this is coming from me, and I'm in America in my cushy little room here, talking in a computer. I'm not someone in Germany who might have to die. Okay, so I understand that. If you want to say you don't know what you're talking about, if a war does come, you won't have to fight it. I will. Absolutely fair point.
Here are deeply concerned about Germany strengthening its own military and giving weapons to Ukraine.
The Germans say that they need to build up their armed forces because in 5 years, President Putin could be able to rebuild enough to strike another NATO country. Do you feel that's a risk?
I don't think that this is right. I don't fear that Putin is building up his forces to conquer Germany. I think Germany has a very poor history in regards of leading wars, yes. And the feeling which I have right now is that we are drifting into this direction, and I don't like this.
And you think more weapons could mean you go back to a darker past?
Yes.
But not everyone agrees. In the corner of the street, a counter demo is being held. Among the crowd is Frederica, a pacifist for years.
Hey! Pacifism is a privilege. We cannot afford to hide behind it.
Views changed with the war in Ukraine.
I never thought I would demand weapons, but I demand of my government that they keep on sending weapons to Ukraine so they can actually carry on defending themselves and actually be victorious over Putin's Russia. And unfortunately, we also need our own defense. We need to defend ourselves against Russia. We need to make sure that they know that we're not easy prey.
Was this hard place for you to come to, saying Germany needs weapons for defense?
Oh, yes. I am still part of a peace movement, but...
She's the most reasonable person here. Yes, I 100% agree with her, and she said it way better than I could.
He needs weapons for defense.
Oh, yes. I am still part of a peace movement, but I am realistic enough that in the face of a dictatorship, you cannot be defenseless. But yes, for me, it's really difficult. But you need to face facts. You can't live in the dreamland.
If I'm in another analogy, if I'm in, a hunter-gatherer community and there are people around us that can hurt us, I know we're not, it's an analogy, okay? The scariest person isn't the one who wants to get weapons and weapons and weapons. They might be irrational. It's the one who's like, we don't need any weapons because that could cause harm. Okay, and if someone attacks you, you just let them kill you? Are you insane? Are you going insane? I don't...
So on top of the aging and shrinking military, this anti-war sentiment's another headache for those trying to get Germany fit to fight in 5 years.
But being war ready isn't just about boosting troops. It's also about protecting civilians.
So this is a blast door.
Yeah, and that's the outer blast door. The bunker gets 2 of them.
Wow.
The bunker Ronald is showing me is below Hamburg station.
So this is the plan.
That's the plan of the bunker.
Oh, so you've got kitchen.
Yeah.
Sitting room. It's a proper house down here.
Yeah, it is.
So 1,500 people would be down here.
Built by the Nazis, it was updated during the Cold War.
So it's important that you got...
In the case of nuclear attack,
different exits.
People could stay for 2 weeks here.
What's this?
Yeah, a kind of air conditioning system. But
ventilation?
turn the handle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's for the case if you got no electric energy. It's a generator, doesn't start or something like this. You have to pull these handles.
Turn the handle and that gets fresh air into here.
Yes.
So that you don't suffocate.
Yes.
Germany used to have around 2,000 public shelters like this one, but during peacetime that dwindled to 579, offering protection for just 500,000 people.
German government said we just don't need any bunkers anymore. So they decommissioned something, they demolished many bunkers, they sold it.
How many functioning bunkers are there? If Germany needed them today, what would they have?
Officially, well, not one.
Once again, the war in Ukraine changed everything. The decommissioning of bunkers stopped. But an inventory of shelters like this one found it would take too long and be too expensive to reopen them. Instead, the government's making a list of buildings which can be used as shelters and creating a bunker app to help people find them.
How much warning would people have got in the past and how's that changed to now?
Oh, in the Second World War, it takes a half an hour from the warning to the attack.
Okay.
And that has changed to the Cold War time to 7 minutes. This is the flying time of an intercontinental missile from Russia to Germany. In our times, it will only take 4 minutes.
With this new threat, a new reality that Germany has to adapt to.
We do not want the war. We must be ready to defend our country, we must be ready to defend NATO territory, but we would like to deter. And it's the price tag for deterrence and defense.
The war in Ukraine has forced Germany's hand. Defense is once again a focus. But it's also a dividing line, a boundary that many here don't want to cross.
Great video. So what this guy says,
Reality
right here,
that Germany has to adapt to.
We do not want the war. We must be ready to defend our country, we must be ready to defend NATO territory.
if you need to be told by someone who wants to, like Germany, increase their military strength because Russia's going in, if you need to be told, hey, we don't want war, but we need to build up defense, if you need that precursor of like, hey, don't worry, we don't want war, you scare me. You terrify me. Because it gives me the impression that you are not thinking about the worst case scenario, and that if you were in charge and had it your way, we would be screwed. If I lived in a country where you were in charge, we'd be screwed. And I don't think those people realize how terrifying they are. If you are just in those crowds and you're like, we don't want to send more stuff to Ukraine, we don't want to build up our military, we want peace, you terrify me. Okay, you really do. If you think I'm wrong in being terrified, please let me know, guys. I'm in a country with a very large military. I'm from the USA, but I'm trying to put myself in Germany's shoes. France's, Poland, Sweden's, Norway's, Finland's, Romania, Lithuania. It worries me how people don't think about that. How it's like the only way to proceed forward is to... I already gave my point. Love y'all. Would appreciate any comments down below. I hope I didn't sound too confident in anything I said in this video, especially on a topic like this, where I'm over here. I'm not over in Europe. Please let me know if I'm wrong, okay? Guys, love y'all. Hopefully I'll see you guys next time. We'll keep on learning. Bye, guys.